Hello again, viewers, and greetings, fellow space travelers. This is Thorn of Night, and welcome back to another episode on Performium on the Duck SMP. And I'm over here at where I am going to be building my volcano because a couple of people have been asking about the progress on it and wanted to see what's been going on. As you can see, we've gotten our hands on a few sponges and are clearing it out. I was doing a little experiment here trying to see if I could do the water on both sides, and it wasn't really working out all that well. But as you can see, three wide slots with this sort of pattern working the way down is adequate for clearing these out. And I am making a lot of headway with the help of Cuddles. And this is looking like it'll be done in maybe a couple weeks, and then I can actually start building. We don't have the time to work on this all day, every day, and there's lots of other tasks going on. Speaking of other tasks, let's head back to the base. Okay, back here, back home. Cuddles is AFK for the moment. I have no idea why there's a wet sponge here, but I'm sure there's a reason. We have had to make a minor change here because when we have guests, if we don't remember to close that, they like to climb down there and stand right on top of us as we're doing things and breaking chests and whatnot. And either they're totally oblivious or they're just trying to accidentally pick up some items that hit the floor. And, uh, giving them the benefit of the doubt, I just want to remove the opportunity for it to happen entirely. So now entry is push button, and that'll fix that. Oh, I forgot about this guy. Hello. He is the subscribe head, and he is thrilled to see you, and he is going to ask you to subscribe. That definitely clearly obviously says subscribe. You see, there's the S and the U and the B and the scribe. Yeah, it's definitely subscribe right there. Uh, anyway, I have been doing a little bit of work out here in addition to the other tasks. Hello, ink cap mushroom. I have not yet drawn a squid into there. The plan still exists. There, they do still spawn. That's good. I was afraid that something had happened, like maybe someone nearby had done something. But anyway, the layout for this area I have decided is going to be best for the high spot because I want there to be different levels to the hollow stump. And I'm thinking it would be best for the high spot to be maybe about here-ish. Going in like there, have a platform and maybe even have some buildings up here and have little paths and walkways. This tree is going to need to get built up. Um, and then I'm going to have a medium high spot over here that will get slightly restructured and have a pool of water up there, maybe another little stream coming down over here like this. I'll get that figured out. But for now, what I want to do is finish up something that I wanted to do last time but didn't have time to do. And that is modify this uh, mushroom here. Uh, I don't, I haven't figured out what species, I almost said brand, what species of mushroom it's going to most closely resemble based on how I'm wanting it to look. But ultimately, it will probably turn out to be. Wait, was that mushroom? No. This? No. In here? Mushroom. Oops. It will probably end up being. Is this dark enough? Yes. Sort of like that, only instead of the stem only occupying that small portion. I'm thinking the stem's going to come out to almost all the way out to the edge, and then the top I kind of want to have sort of this I don't know, sort of a heart shape, maybe. Uh, I'll look and see, but I think that there is something that actually resembles that in the real world, but if there isn't, then I'll just have to come up with one on my own. But in the meantime, I don't think that I have gone over here. This has been decorated by the best Beast Love, and I really like these custom mushrooms that she has been building. These are pretty neat. She uses string to hold up the carpet there and some mycelium for the ground there, but I have another task that I need to do today. This whole area, regardless of whether I'm going to be having a high spot put in or not, this whole area is not going to be filled with grass. Maybe around the house there will be a bunch of grass, but for the most part, I want this to be an assortment of path blocks and podzol and hay bales and fully mature hay growing out of the ground. And I want to have sort of this mulchy, brownish kind of tone overall. And so the first step in doing that is going to have to be turning all of these into paths, or at least most of these. The interesting thing about the path blocks is if you have just one like that, it looks sort of darkish. And then if you go with two, in the middle, it makes a brighter tone. But then if you get a large enough area, it has the dark around wherever edges are. So if I were to do this, you can see that there's bright spots everywhere else but next to where the grass is. And it gives enough color variance that I think I can do something with that. But what I'm going to be doing is just leaving all of this tall grass as grass so that there is some greenery still about. And then I'm going to turn everything else in here into paths. Then, once I'm done with that, I'll come through and convert everything to an assortment of hay bales and podzol and whatnot. So those are my two tasks today so far. Path, probably get more podzol. I do need more than what I've got. And mushroom. And we're going to see how much of that I get done. So I'm going to get busy on, at the very least, pathing all of this to show you what it's going to look like from the first step. And then we'll move on to probably the mushroom next. And then if there's enough time, I will go and see if I can hunt down some more podzol than what I've got and convert this into a nice new uh, interior stump biome. Yeah, it's a stump biome. That's what it's going to be. So I am going to get busy, and I guess I'll be right back. So a nostalgic visitor to the server who has generously donated some blocks, including some glass panes and stuff, has discovered that when a player has fly, that player can be their personal balloon. And so now I'm being dragged around like a little balloon. This is great. So now that I am nearing finished with this stage of the process, I thought I'd give you a look around at what a large area looks like without grass and instead is just paths. It's not going to turn back into grass. I don't have to worry about that. The side is obviously still going to be dirt. I can't really do much of anything about that for now. But I am going to be, as part of the next phase, wherever there's a torch, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it into maybe a green or a brown carpet, and then have a torch or a glowstone under it, so that there's still light. because these areas here, I believe hostile mobs can still spawn wherever there is tall grass. I'm actually not 100% sure about that, but I am fairly certain they can still do that. I know they can spawn inside of sugarcane, so I would suspect that they can spawn on there. Now, I did want to show this little detail. I managed to, while I was flying, I managed to get my pixels just right so that I can't go past that one extra pixel of grass. Right here, I am bouncing off of the edge of that. I just think that's kind of neat. I'm running into the grass here. I'm running into it here, but I can go right over the path, and that's a demonstration of the difference in height. And that's also important when doing something like teleporting. On here, when you teleport to a player, if you teleport to a person or a person teleports to you, while the target is standing on top of a path block or some other non-full block like this, path, farm, and I think soul sand, what will happen is you'll get stuck in this trying to land animation. You won't be able to do anything until you break the block under you. So that is something to keep in mind. Another thing I wanted to mention is, let me bring this back up after I clear the chat just in case there's still nonsense going on. Um, I have in my hand, you may have noticed that I have an UpGod Silk Touch, uh, Silk Touch shovel, which is a wonderful shovel. Actually, you can dig grass while flying at the speed of full efficiency, so that's really nice. Uh, oops. It is efficiency 10, silk touch 3, whatever that means. Silk touch 3, I don't get it. Unbreaking 10, mending 10. I have fix. I don't really need the mending 10, but I can just go ahead and do /fix, and it'll do that. Now, this thing was a gift from a player, and one of the many donations that have helped to make all of this work and some of the other projects even possible. And I have had many donations to help along the way, and many of them are just people who have some spare blocks, maybe a handful of dirt, or here's some glass that they don't need anymore and they're done using it. So instead of just keeping it in a chest, they donate it to me, and I'll be using it for lots of things, like, for instance, the white glass on top of that thing. That much of that was donated glass from other players. Among the donations that I have gotten have been a number of spawners, and I had been keeping them in my ender chest, which I have in my head, in a black shulker that was right there. And I did what I suppose you should never do. I put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. All of the spawners were in that shulker, and they were fine in that shulker. And what my system was, I would place the shulker on the ground, I would interact with it, I would stand right next to it, I would break it, and I would pick it right back up. Apparently, on this server, there is sometimes, unpredictably, an issue with specifically shulkers that I was not aware of, that instead of breaking to a loose item, it will just entirely delete. It'll vanish. It's not even findable as an item. It is just utterly gone. So now I am down, or we are down actually. It was over 150 spawners at last count. Many of them are novelty spawners, things that, like snow golems, that don't work anymore on the server. But a lot of them were things that could produce drops from mobs that are useful for maybe building blocks, like wool from sheep, and string, which can turn into wool from spiders, iron golems. Now, there are grinders for these sorts of things at spawn, but most of them, in fact, you have to kill manually in order to get the drops. So I was planning on setting up a public block drop spawner so that people could just stand in AFK and get the items only without having to worry about having to do all the killing. Yes, you can gain your levels, but it's much nicer if you can just stand there and get a pile of wool or a pile of iron ingots from just doing nothing. It is much nicer. But that is sort of no longer an option at this point. I have been able to recollect a number of spawners and find new ones since then, but from now on I will not be keeping them on my person in an ender chest. They are safely inside the claim in a container, and any interactions with that container will be to pull items out and not break the container itself. Hopefully that will fix the problem. There is another thing, though, that has happened. I have been given some gem cookies from little Cuddles over there. I helped get her some claim blocks and some of the overflow and some spare gems that she had. She wanted to get me a higher rank. I've been sitting at gold rank all this time. She's at emerald rank. She felt like I would be better to have a higher rank. So she wanted to give me some gem cookies, which, if I do this, gems, you can buy gem cookies either one at a time, five at a time, or 10 at a time. So she bought me 30 gem cookies, three of these purchases, and I ate them in rapid succession. I tried to eat them at the speed of a cookie because that's what I was prepared for. And in just the few moments of holding down the mouse button to eat one cookie as if it was normal, because I've never encountered this before, uh, I just tore through all 30 of them. However, because of the speed or something, three of the cookies did not count. So if you are ever given a chance to get some gem cookies, take them apart and eat them one at a time. I'm still waiting to hear back from the ticket that I submitted to get the reimbursement for the gems. So I don't know how long that's going to take. Based on her experience, though, it has been over a month and she's still not seen some gems that she is due. So who knows? But we'll get it figured out. But I just wanted to share that. I can even probably maybe right here I'll put a little video I recorded of when the error was showing up that says something like invalid cookie. So I just ate 30 gem cookies after a trade from Little Cuddles, and I started with 388 gems. And while I was or 300, actually no, it'd be 394 now. So yeah, that makes sense there. I started with 394 gems, and while I was eating them, and there's no slow way to eat these, I have one, two, three invalid cookies. I'm going to wait to see if they show back up, but I'm missing 300 gems, and that's no bueno. But um, just something to keep an eye out for. But I also wanted to share with you an update of maybe some of the issues that have been going on. Oh, look, it's Zebra Cake, also known as Subface, who is One Punch Man and has a golden carrot. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work. This part's almost done. It's almost time for me to go find some podzol because the handful of stacks that we have just aren't going to cut it. So I'm going to finish this and get looking for podzol. I'll be back. So a couple of new updates. First off, I went and got some podzol today. Yeah, I set it all down here. Some podzol and some coarse dirt. There is a biome full of it, not too terribly far from spawn, so I can always go get more There is plenty more podzol stored, but that coarse dirt is easy to miss and hard to find. So I may have to go get more of that or just plan my builds accordingly. But that's not the only change, the only new information. First off, I have, in order to get that diamond rank, I had the gem cookie situation with the 3 invalid cookies, and since then, I have put in a ticket and have been reimbursed for the gem cookies that went missing, and or not went missing, just said invalid cookie. So that's done. But also, uh, during the same period of time, I watched one of RGA's streams, and twice during the stream he did this mining mini game where he turns off the whitelist and everyone can join, and then you immediately start digging everything in the ground. There's ores and gem blocks and everything, and you get actual gems from participating in this. And over the course of the stream, he did 2 of those, and I managed to get 490 gems total, which is wonderful. So I went ahead and bought craft. So if I do this, craft, it shows the crafting table. I don't have to do anything special to get it to happen other than slash craft. I don't have to be near a crafting table. It's just there. I can be down digging, and if I need to make a new pick, slash craft. I mean, if that happens and I'm in dire circumstances, but uh, I can do that. But on other servers that I don't have a foothold of any sort, this is going to come in immense handy if I need to get things going. I can slash craft and have that advantage, especially if I'm nowhere near trees. So that's nice. Also, I have added a couple of mods that add some environmental sound to make the gameplay a little bit more, I guess, enriching. I am in an enclosed area, but it's sort of largish, and so I should have footsteps. And there's Cuddles. And you can even hear the reverberation from her. Come down here. Nice echoey footsteps. Oh, the ladder sounds lovely. This is nice. Oh, that sounds really cool. Okay. Then there should be new water noise. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. I don't. There are several mods that I have put in to make these ambient and environmental sounds, and I don't know which ones are or are not working. Once I figure out which ones they are, I will list them in the description, but I'm going to have to turn some on and off to see which ones are actually doing their jobs. So uh, I will probably hold off until a later video to list the mods, just in case I accidentally steer you in the wrong direction. But do you hear that? Just that nice little gentle glurbing of water. But also, there's birds and loons and things. Here, let me go options, music and sounds. I think that's this one. I think that is a loon, maybe? But there's bird noises, there's crickets at some point, there's all kinds of things. When it's stormy, you get to hear the wind. It is a lovely assortment of things that helps bring a little bit of a breath of life to the world, and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to be using this for the foreseeable future. I had thought about putting in one for some better foliage, but just in case that chews through my resources too much, I'm going to leave that one off for the time being. But oh no, that's under here. So I have managed to, like I said, get some podzol and some coarse dirt, and so now my next task is going to be to turn all of this into something a little bit more assorted. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work on clearing out maybe just a small area for a test swatch and then decide what I'm going to do from there. I'll be back. I just love the sound of that rain. Cuddles and I have been busy out here. We have changed the glowstone, or changed the torches to glowstone, and with her help, I have been able to put in some of these largish patches of podzol. Now, we're not done. Hello. So there's a dark spot there. Good to know. We're not done with everything yet. I'm still going to be adding in some details around the edges and then having a couple other spots of some mottled other blocks. Now, I do plan on putting in some mycelium in several places, but most of the mycelium is going to be based around where many of these mushroom builds will end up being. And so I kind of want to wait to see where I'm going to be putting what before I load up on mycelium. But there is going to be at least a little bit of mycelium scattered throughout here by default automatically. So I'm going to add that to the mix. But what I plan on doing is just randomly uh, sort of merging from podzol to podzol and coarse dirt and a little bit of path blocks to coarse dirt and more path blocks. I'm just wanting to sort of feel things out and see how they look as I go. But I just wanted you to take a look at the progress, making some steps, and then after the yard is done, then I get to tackle this thing. And I shouldn't take too long with it, but uh, you never know. I might get a little bit more extravagant than I anticipate. Oh, this keeps showing up. There's a neighbor over here who has not been on for 775 days, 2 years. And they also just happen to have mushroom stuff going on. Ah, Cuddles. Cuddles is asking about the very thing that I am talking about. That's funny. But they have some mycelium around their area, and you can actually go in there, but I'm not gonna. They have a beacon, so it kind of stands out. So I'm thinking of having one of these style mushrooms maybe up here so that if they ever do come back on, they'll go, hey, what's this? And see that there's a sort of a mushroom realm going on in here. But that's going to be a future project. Right now, I'm going to finish this, and then it'll be time to move on to that thing over there. So I'll be back. All right, a lot more work has gone into the area. I have put in these patches of podzol and surrounded them with a variety of other blocks. I put in some carpet over the glowstone where I have the light. There's some hay bales. I haven't put in the farmland with the wheat. Oh, I love these birds. This is such a wonderful mod. Whichever one this is that does the birds, this is great. Uh, anyway, I have plans to do some further detail, but I want to wait until I get some things built up, some of the structures that I plan on having in here, as well as a couple more of the large mushrooms that I'm going to be putting in. But for the moment, this is pretty much done, this area here. I really do like the way that this turned out. The coarse dirt does have that sort of darker tone than regular dirt, and it at least for me, it works really well here. The appearance of the path blocks looks very nice, and I imagine it probably looks pretty nice even with shaders. But this is this is good. I like this. But then to wrap things up for today's tasks, I have completely torn down and rebuilt the mushroom. It is a fly amanita, which I think is the exact same sort of mushroom that the vanilla red mushroom is meant to be, which is troubling because, as I understand it, that's lethal. That's toxic. It's poison. So we put it in the mushroom soup and then eat it. But anyway, this is a much better version of whatever structure it was she was going for. I have, as you can see, I put more than just the mushroom blocks in. I added some red and white concrete to give it that extra bit of detail. I've also gone through and tried my best to torch up every single dark spot in here. If something else spawns that's not in the lake, I'm going to have to deal with that separately. If something else spawns in here that's not meant to be in here, then I'm probably going to just write it off and say, well, you must live here or something. So that is something to think about for the future. But for today, I think I've done enough stuff. I have spent actually more than a day working on getting all this in place, and then at least a couple hours working on that, getting it to look just right. So I am going to just have to call it quits because otherwise this video is going to go on forever. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a like. I do appreciate it, and it does help. And also, please definitely do subscribe, as I am always going to be pushing for more and more subscribers. But most immediately, I want to get to that 2,000 subscriber mark. As of last time I looked, it's 1848 and still going. I do plan on having another couple of videos on some different things here over the next couple of weeks, but I will continue trying to put out at least one Performium video per week, maybe two if I can. But I have several other things that I want to get started or get finished, and that's going to be woven in between this. So be on the lookout for that. Also, if you would like to join my Discord, please go down to the description, click the link, pick a role, presume YouTube, since you're watching this on YouTube, and then you'll have access to my Discord. You'll be able to hang out and chat and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you very much once again for watching. This is Thorn of Night, and I will talk to you later.